Story Note 1: The security camera caught something I can't explain. I installed security cameras at my house 2 years ago. Nothing dramatic prompted it, just a general sense that it was a reasonable thing to do. A package deal on cameras for the front door, backyard, and the hallway inside. Standard home security. I set them up on a Friday afternoon and forgot about them almost immediately. The way you do with things that are working correctly in the background. For 8 months, the cameras recorded nothing interesting. Delivery drivers, squirrels, my neighbor's cat sitting on the porch railing for 20 minutes one Tuesday. Normal life, documented in continuous footage. I never watched unless something prompted me to check. The notification came on a Wednesday night in November. Motion detected backyard camera, 2:47 a.m. I picked up my phone and opened the app. The camera had activated automatically and was recording. I watched the live feed for a moment. The backyard was empty, lit by the infrared of the camera. In that particular green-gray night vision color. Fence, grass, the garden bed along the back, the shed in the corner, nothing moving. I assumed it was an animal. Dismissed the notification and went back to sleep. In the morning I reviewed the footage. For the first 40 seconds, the yard was empty. Then, in the far left corner near the fence, something appeared. I want to be precise about what I mean by appeared, because it did not walk into frame. It did not climb the fence, did not emerge from any particular direction. It was simply not there, and then it was there, between one frame and the next. A dark shape, roughly the size and proportion of a person, standing near the fence. It stood there for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. It did not move. It did not approach the house. It simply stood in the corner of my yard in the middle of the night and then, between one frame and the next, was gone. I reviewed the footage 6 times. I sent it to a friend who works in video production and asked if he could identify any technical explanation, glitch, compression, artifact, camera malfunction. He watched it twice and said he had no explanation. He said whatever was in the frame appeared to have physical depth and dimension consistent with a solid object. He said it was not a camera error. I checked the fence line in daylight. No footprints in the soft soil near the fence. No marks on the fence itself. Nothing that suggested anything had been standing there. The camera has not triggered again at that hour since. 8 months of silence before, 8 months of silence after. One night, in the middle, 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I still check the backyard before I let the dog out at night. I stand at the door and look at the far left corner near the fence before I open it. It's always empty, but I look every time. Story number 2: every photo I took in that house had someone extra in IT house at. For a couple I knew through work 2 weeks while they were traveling abroad. Nice house, quiet neighborhood, straightforward arrangement. Feed the cat, collect the mail, watered the plants. I'd done similar things before and never thought anything of it. I noticed the photos on the 4th day. I take a lot of photos, not professionally, just habitually. I document things. Food, rooms, I find interesting. Light through windows. I'd taken maybe 30 photos in the house over the first few days without looking at them carefully. On the 4th day I was going through my camera roll and I stopped. In a photo I'd taken of the living room, a wide shot of the space, showing the couch and the window and the bookshelf. There was someone sitting in the armchair in the background. The armchair was in the far left of the frame, partially in shadow. The figure sitting in it was not fully visible, mostly dark, the suggestion of a shape rather than a clear person. But it was unmistakably a figure, seated, facing forward, in an armchair that had been empty when I pointed the camera at that room. I was alone in the house. I went back through my earlier photos carefully. In a photo from day one, the kitchen. Taken to show a friend the layout, there was a shape in the hallway visible through the kitchen doorway. Dark, indistinct, but present. Something standing in the hallway behind me while I faced the other direction. In a photo from day two, the back garden. Taken because the light was nice, there was a face in the upper window of the house, looking down, pale and slightly blurred, but unmistakably a face. In the window of the room I was sleeping in. I had not seen any of these things when I took the photos. I had been looking at the camera screen. Nothing had registered as present in any of those spaces. I stayed the remaining 10 days because I'd made a commitment and because I told myself there were explanations, reflections, pareidolia, the brain finding faces in random patterns. Long exposure artifacts on a phone camera. I did not take any more photos for the rest of the stay. When my friends returned, I didn't tell them immediately. I waited 2 weeks and then sent them the photos and asked, as casually as I could, if anything unusual had ever happened in the house. There was a long pause in the conversation. Before the answer came, they said they'd had a few things over the years. Small things, nothing dramatic. They'd gotten used to it. They said they should have mentioned it before I stayed. I told them it was fine. I've looked at those photos many times since. The figure in the armchair, the shape in the hallway, the face in the window. The face in the window bothers me most, because that was the room I slept in for 2 weeks, and whatever was at the window was looking down into the garden, looking at me. While I looked at the light and thought it was beautiful and took a photo and never noticed. Story number 3. I could always tell when it was in the room with me. Don't know what it was. I want to be clear about that from the start. I have no framework for it, no name for it, no tradition or belief system that I've found that maps onto what I experienced exactly. I'm telling you what happened, and I'm telling you what it felt like, and I'm leaving the interpretation to you. It started the winter I was 28. I was living alone in a small house. I was renting, my first time living completely alone. No roommates, no partner, just me. I thought I would love it. I did, mostly, except for the presence. That's the only word I have for it. A presence. Not a sound, not a visual, not anything I could point to and say, there, that's what I mean. Just an awareness, a certainty, with no sensory evidence to support it, that I was not alone in whatever room I was in. It didn't happen all the time. That's important. Most hours of most days, the house felt empty in the way a house with one person in it should feel empty. Normal, mine, but sometimes maybe twice a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less. I would be sitting reading, or cooking, or watching something, and I would know. The way you know when someone has walked into a room behind you before they make a sound. That particular shift in the quality of the air and the space, I started paying attention to when it happened. It was always in the evening, never in the morning, never in the afternoon, always after the light changed, after the sun went down, and the lamps came on. It was always in the main living areas, never in the bedroom or the bathroom, which I find oddly specific. And it always lasted between 15 and 40 minutes before I stopped feeling it. I tried to interact with it once. I felt it arrive, that shift in the room, and I put my book down and said, out loud, into the room, I know you're here. The quality of the presence changed. I can't describe it more precisely than that. Something shifted in response to being acknowledged. Not threatening, if anything, the opposite, like a subtle relaxation, the way a person's posture changes when they realize They've been seen and don't have to work at being unobtrusive anymore. I sat with that for a moment, and then I picked my book back up and kept reading. After that, I stopped being bothered by it. It came when it came. I acknowledged it when I felt like it. Sometimes I talked not to it exactly, just out loud, narrating what I was doing the way people do when they live alone and the silence gets too heavy. It didn't seem to mind. I moved out of that house after 14 months. New city, new job, fresh start. The presence didn't follow me. I know because I waited for it in the new place, half expecting that shift in the air, that change in the room. It never came. I've thought about that house many times since. Whatever was there, it stayed there when I left. It was tied to the place. Not to me. I hope the people who live there now have made their peace with it the way I did. I hope it found them tolerable company. Because I'll tell you something, and this is the part I don't say out loud very often. Toward the end of those 14 months, on the evenings when it didn't come, the house felt genuinely empty in a way that was harder to sit with than the alternative. I got used to not being alone, and then I moved, and I was